Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be talking about the creation of smart examples with Tableau Prep. Now, let's say you have got a data for analysis purpose. Every time you are receiving the data won't be clean. Sometimes you have to take some steps to clean that particular data. It may be filling the missing values, removing the missing values, or maybe clearing the text that is present over there, converting one data type to another data type, or removing some additional items that are present in your data. It can also include the splitting up of rows to create some different kind of columns. So let's go to the Tableau screen and see how we can do these things in the Tableau Prep. Before that, what I need you to do is I need to show you this data that we would be working on. This data is an Swiggy data, which is basically a food delivery partner, and it has collected some data that is the restaurant and what are the things that it is offering. So let's say that the restaurant is offering multiple cuisines. So it is listed under these cuisines. Then we have the restaurant ID, restaurant name, the country which from the restaurant belongs to, its city, address, locality and locality verbose, longitude, latitude, the currency with which the restaurant is, and maybe it is having some table booking functionality or not, or has online delivery option or not, and whether the option and whether it is delivering the food right now or not, whether the switch to order menu is there, and what is the price range of that particular restaurant, how many votes that restaurant has got, what is the average cost for two-person, and what is the rating for that particular restaurant. Now, as we go through this data, we need to find out whether this data is clean or not. How can you find it? So we have to look at one column at a time and find out whether or not that column is having all the values in the form of a clean format or not. For example, if I go to this cuisines, you can see that the restaurant offers multiple cuisines. For the first restaurant, I have Japanese and dessert. The second restaurant, I have only desserts. For the third restaurant, I have French, Korean, and Indian. So now what would be happening is, let's say that the restaurant is offering Japanese food and desserts. Now we need to separate these two because whenever a restaurant is offering a cuisine, the first one that is listed, maybe it's main cuisine and it is also serving some other cuisines as well. It can be a multi-cuisine restaurant as well. Let's say if you need to do some analysis on the top of it, let's say how many restaurants are there which offer desserts. So we can find out there are multiple restaurants which only deal with desserts, or there are multiple restaurants with only deal with the Japanese. Now, after we have separated these two, it would be easier for us to identify that how many restaurants deal with the Japanese foods or how many restaurants only provide desserts. This would be very useful whenever you are doing some analysis on the top of it. So the first task that I identified over is that I need to split this cuisines column and I need to provide a different column for it where the second item it is offering can be listed over. Then I come over here to restaurant ID. I have looked at this data and this restaurant ID seems pretty clean too. Then for the restaurant name, I find out that there are few values like this restaurant name. There are few punctuation marks that have been added over here. So these are some special symbols also, or somewhere we have these punctuation marks also. So we need to remove these in order to clean our data. Then if we come to this country code, this seems pretty clean to me. I have already looked at this data. So whenever you are getting this data, you have to look at it first. Then only you will be able to identify whether you need to clean that data or not. If I talk about the other columns also, we have the city column and address column as well. Now, this address column is very helpful whenever you are dealing with particular city. Since we already have the city column, we don't need to split this address column and make a separate column for the city. But if it was not present and if you want to do some city wise analysis, then it would be very helpful for you to just split this column into different parts and find out the city from which the restaurant belongs. The next column is the locality column. Maybe this would be very helpful for us if you just able to split this locality, and you would be able to find out that in which locality there are multiple restaurants and what kind of food they provide. Then we have this locality verbose option, longitude option and latitude option, which is also pretty clear. So I've looked at other columns as well and they seem very clear too. Even this rating columns, we need to see that whether it is having all the values in terms of floating numbers or not, because this rating has in floating numbers. There may be few integers, but we need to verify these all. So after I have verified this all data, I found out this data to a bit clean. The only thing that matters over here is the cuisines part and the restaurant name that I have to clean. So we will go to the Tableau Prep and see how can we clean these particular records. So now we will be looking at how can we bring that data in Tableau Prep and clean it. So for that, what I need to do is I need to go in the connection option. Since I know that the file that I was using is an Excel file. So I have to go in the Microsoft Excel option and here I can choose the file. The file name is Swiggy Data Only. After selecting the file, I have to click on open, which would basically add that file and show me all the sheets that are present over here or below. So now this is showing you all the data that is present inside that sheet. Right now, I have these 20 fields. These 20 fields mean that I have this 20 columns in my data set. Over here, you can easily look at what is the data type of that particular column. For examples, cuisine has this string data type. For restaurant ID, I have the data type as whole number. And if you scroll down, let's say if your data set is having any date field, it would be displaying a calendar icon. And if it is having any Boolean value, it would be displaying as t/r, which is basically true or false. So now what we need to do is we need to add a clean step. For that, I will click this plus option and I will use this clean. Basically, cleaning the data doesn't only mean removing the records. It can also mean that you need to add some new rows to it. You need to change the aggregates. You need to convert your data in the pivot form or maybe join, union, or any kind of other functionalities that are done on the top of our data. So right now I would be using this clean step, and over here, after I have chose the screen step, I need to click on it. After you have clicked on it, over here, you can see where it says zero field, it would be now showing you all the fields that are present in your dataset as well as the records present in that dataset. Just expand it and now you would be able to see all the data that is. We already know that in cuisines, there were multiple restaurants which was serving multi cuisines. For example, I saw a restaurant which was serving French, Korean, and Indian as well. So over here, what I can do is I can click on this search option and I can choose. Now you can see there are few restaurants which are serving Indian, and there is a restaurant also which is serving French, Korean, and Indian as well. There is only one record. Whereas if we talk about the Indian, there are 70 records. Now I don't want this to be included over here on the top. I need this to be merged with this part so that I can easily analyze how many restaurants are there which are basically serving the Indian food. It would be very easy for me to identify that not these 70 records, but there is one more record which needs to be added over here so that I can easily find out that there are 71 restaurants which are serving Indian. For that, I can easily split this column. Now I know all the records in this column have been separated by this comma. For that, what you can do is you can go over here on the more options and over here add this option to clean the data and split the values as. First, let's talk about clean the data. This clean the data includes many steps. For example, you can change your data to be in the uppercase or lowercase if you use these options. If you want to remove the letters, there is an option available for that as well. You can also remove the numbers with the help of this remove numbers option. Then you can also remove this punctuations. If your data set is having any extra spaces, you can use the trim spaces or remove extra spaces to remove all that space. Now we know that we need to split these values. So over here in the split values option, I can use this custom split because I know the separator is comma. So in the use separator option, I can put comma over here, and in the split off, instead of first, I can choose all because I want to split all values. After that, I can click on this split and the split. So now you can see I have got these three columns. Instead of one columns, now there are three columns. This is happening because not all restaurants are serving three cuisines or more than two cuisines. That's why we'll be getting this option as well, which is basically 19,715 records are there which don't have a second cuisine. They are only selling one cuisine. There are only few records which are selling restaurants which are selling these two or more cuisines. So what I need to do is I don't need this data in a different columns. I need to combine this with this first column so that I can easily identify those values and I can do the analysis on the top. So in simpler terms, I need to convert this all records in the columns to this row based format. For that, I will be using the convert to pivot option. So select all these columns with the help of first you need to select one column and then you can press shift and you can select the last column. So it would select all the columns for you. Now you can go to any particular column and over here in the more options, you can use the option of pivot columns to rows. Now all these three columns would be merged based on the records that are present. If I just drag it over here after it has converted, you can see now I don't have that other column. I have this cuisine split option which has now been combined and it consists of 146 unique values. You can also see that these are some records which are basically the empty records. As I already told you, not every restaurant is serving more than one cuisine. So whatever the empty values were there, it is also trying to add those up. So we need to remove these empty records. For that, what I can do is I can click over here and use the exclude option. So maybe right click on it and use this exclude option. Now you can see this Afghani would come over here on the top. So now my records are clean. After that, what I can do is I can add another cleaning step. So I will click on this plus option and use this clean. Now I no longer need this cuisines option because I am having two columns by the name of cuisines. This one consists of all the records, the comma based format, and I don't want it. I have already made a split and I have combined these values. So what I can do next is I can just remove this column. For that, I can use this more options and use this remove option as well. After you have removed that option, the changes would be reflected over here in the changes. Now, I know that this restaurant name consists of multiple values which have some special characters and which also has some punctuation marks. So to remove everything, which is basically the special characters and the punctuation marks, I need to go over here in the more options and I have this clean option and I can choose this remove punctuation option. Now you can see that after it has started the processing, all the records with extra punctuation marks would be cleaned. Now, as we have already discussed when we were talking about the spreadsheet over there in Excel, all the other parts are pretty clear. So I don't need to split those. So I've already showed you the splitting. If you need to split this locality and you want to do some analysis on the basis of locality, you can also split this locality option as well. If in the other cases, let's say if your data is not able to be correctly recognized, what you can do is, let's say in this case, you don't want restaurant ID to be the whole number. So here you can click on this data type and you can easily then change the data type, because we know whatever the restaurant ID is there, it is not very appropriate for the purpose of aggregations. So let's say if your restaurant ID is having some text as well, in that case, you can use this string option and you can easily convert the data. After all the changes have been made, the data is now clean for the further analysis. Now you need this data in the form of an output file. For that, you can again click on this plus option and you can choose this output option. After you have used this output option, it would then ask you in what format do you want this out. Let's say I don't want this final output to be in the form of an Excel file or the hyper file. Then over here in the option of output file, I can easily choose this CSV file option. And after I have chose that option, it would just process it for a bit. It would make it like a CSV file and it would save our file in this particular location. So after you have verified everything, you can just click on this run flow. Every step would be again processed and your file would be ready to be analyzed in any other tool such as Tableau or any other data analysis tool as well. So I can click over here in the run flow and it would again ask me that this is the location where this file would be saved. And if there is an already existing file with that name, it would give you this indication that whether you want to replace that particular file. For now, what I need to do is I can just click on this replace so it can replace my previous file. After the flow has been run, your file can be easily accessible. So after your output has been created, you can then go to that particular data source and you can easily use that file for the purpose of further analysis. So this was all for this session. In the next sessions, we'll be talking about the projects in Tableau.